Hey, BookTube. So, tonight I'm going to do a tag video. I was tagged by the avid reader um, for this tag, and it is the alternate history book tag. And so, as you know, that's right up my street. I was a little bit nervous because I've only have 6 books, and I don't want to cover old ground too much, as I've already made 2 other alt history videos where I listed my books. So I was a little bit nervous doing this one, that I'd sound like a broken record. However, I did have some creative answers to some of these questions, and I will show you some, and I will mention some books that I don't have in my collection that I either will or will not read in the future. So, and by the way, I will tag someone at the end. Not a lot of my BookTube friends are alternate history enthusiasts. Um, they might be dystopia enthusiasts. I don't know. So, but I am going to tag someone, and he is an unconventional choice. Anyway, on to the books. On to the prompts, rather. So, question number 1. What was the first alternate history book you read? And that would be Fatherland by Robert Harris. I picked up this copy in 2016 at the airport in Bali. At the airport in Jakarta, not Bali, in Jakarta, and I did, and then I did prior to that. I did watch the movie on HBO, which was okay, but it was a little bit unrealistic, shall we say? But then the book is much better. The book's alternate history is much better than the movie's alternate history movie version. And yeah, I enjoyed it a lot. It's a classic, and it inspired me ultimately to. It's over there. It inspired me to write my own alternate history novel, The Coffee Thief. Yes, Robert Harris inspired me to write it. So there you go. So that's a staple in all alternate histories and in my collection as well. The second question. Your favorite alternate history book? That would be Ignore the Motorcycles. Dominion by C.J. Sansom. So this, like Fatherland, is another Nazis winning World War II scenario, but this one I kind of felt a little bit more to the personal level rather than Fatherland. Fatherland only followed one protagonist most of the way. This one followed like 4 perspectives, and I felt more connected to the characters. And this takes place in a more interesting place, rather than in the heart of the Reich, in a satellite state which is aligned with Germany. So I thought shall we say, I don't want to crypto-fascist UK or Vichy Britain, whatever you like to call it. It's a much more interesting scenario, and I felt a little bit more connected to the characters. And one of my favorite book villains is in the book Dominion. It's a little bit less plausible than Fatherland, but it is my favorite of alternate history books that I've read so far. So, there you go. Question number 3. Favorite alternate history series? Now, here I'm going to have an unorthodox choice. I'm actually going to show you a fantasy book, but hear me out, okay? Hear me out. So, this is the first volume of the Tales of the Otori trilogy, or Tales of the Otori series, by Leon Hearn. Dominion was by C.J. Sansom, yes. Leon Hearn. So this book takes place in a fantasy world, but everything from the geography and culture, everything all the elements within the story is plucked straight out of feudal Japan. So even the geography, let me just show you. There's actually a map here. This actually looks like the southwestern corner of Honshu Island. So everything is Japanese-esque, and there is supernatural elements in the book are hinted at, but they're very minimal, very minimal. And I loved this story of this young man named Takeo on his journey to becoming a clan leader and an assassin, and taking revenge on the murder of his family. Because this involves ninjas and samurai, it gave me a lot of Musashi vibes, which is my all-time favorite book. Gave me a lot of it reminded me a lot of my all-time favorite book, Musashi. Now, the fact that everything is Japanese, and so and this country has a fictional history and fictional clans fighting each other. So it's not Japan, but everything else is Japan. But that would not be enough for me to actually use this book as an alternate history series example of my favorite series of alternate history, because later in the series, Christian missionaries actually arrive. Christians. So yeah, it was stretching the definition. This might count as alternate history. But traditionally, I would put it under fantasy. So, make of that what you will. Question number 4. Favorite Turtledove standalone? Now, I've only read Joe Steele. Joe Steele. That's the only Harry Turtledove novel I've actually read. So I cannot answer this question properly. But there are three Harry Turtledove standalones that I have my eyes on that are on my wish list. And the one that interests me the most is The Two Georges. The Two Georges is set in a universe where all the grievances of the colonies were addressed by the British, so that the United States did not rebel and did not have a revolution and started their own new country. The beauty of this world is it fascinates me because the world is very it takes place in modern day. It takes place in the modern day in 1995 when the book was published. And what's interesting is there is very little border gore in the world. So empires exist, and there's a lot less lines on the map, except in Europe, where Germany and Italy are still divided amongst several small states. So as a result of the United States never coming into power, and then the British and the United States never being born, the British and French, and to a degree Spanish empires survive to the modern day, and then Germany and Italy never unite. And of course there's the Chinese and the Russians. So this is a world where empires dominate the entire globe, and the only place where there's small nation states is in the heart of Europe. So that's an interesting scenario. I have my eyes on that book, The Two Georges, and it's a much more entertaining book than For Want of a Nail, which is a pseudo history book of what if the American Revolution failed. I wouldn't recommend For Want of a Nail. I don't remember the author's name. I'm going to have his name in the description. Anyway, so The Two Georges. That's my favorite Harry Turtledove standalone. Question number 5, least favorite alternate history. This is also a book series, And there are a lot of crazy alternate history books that I will not touch, that I will not read, involving everything from magic to dinosaurs to aliens. There are a lot of fantastical elements that I just don't want to approach. I want my alternate history to be try to have a degree of realism in it. Granted, I do have the Years of Rice and Salt and Empire of Lies, but there, but if even more fantastical elements, I cannot tolerate that. Now, with all of that said, the one fantastical element that I don't want in my alternate history is zombies. So I have chosen Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. No, no. Zombies, zombie apocalypse after the American Civil War. Please, please. I don't like zombies. They're overused. I've never been a fan of The Walking Dead. I don't like zombies. So I'm not going to read that series. Anyway, so those are all the questions answered. And if I have to tag someone, I'm going to tag Matt Mitrovich, the alternate historian. He does do book reviews, okay? And he does talk about his favorite alternate history books. So I am going to tag him. He's not a 100% booktuber. He's someone who entertains a lot of alternate history ideas, but he does read books. So I am going to tag him. He counts. And if any of you of my fans like alternate history, think you can bend the rules slightly, or think you can fit this tag to suit your own reading tastes, try it. Okay, thanks for listening in.